More than 40% of people who retire with $300,000 saved up are going to run out of money before they die. Not because they overspent, because they believed a lie you probably believe right now too. You think your 401k is your retirement plan. It's not. It never was. And in the next 20 minutes, you're going to understand exactly why. Let me guess something about you. You maxed out your 401k year after year without missing a single month. You watched that balance climb. 150 grand, 220, $300,000. And every time that number went up, you felt something hard to put into words. A calm, a relief, almost a quiet pride. You told yourself, if I keep this up, I'll be fine. I need to tell you something right now, before it's too late. That number was never going to save you on its own. Not because it's small, but because you were taught to watch the wrong number for decades and nobody ever warned you. Remember doing the math in your head, alone, late at night, trying to picture the next 20 years and feeling that knot in your stomach even while the balance kept climbing month after month? That knot wasn't paranoia. That was your gut trying to warn you about something nobody had the guts to tell you. You worked for decades, cut corners, put off the things you wanted, said no to trips, dinners out, time with your family, just to watch that number in your banking app inch up a little more. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the blind spot sitting inside your retirement account right now. A blind spot your 401k statement will never show you, that your financial advisor will never bring up, and that your own gut has been trying to warn you about every single day. If you're between 45 and 60, and you still believe a bigger balance automatically means a safer future, stick with me until the end. Because what I'm about to show you is going to change for good the way you look at every dollar you've sacrificed to save. And before we go any further, I need to ask you something. If that fear of working your whole life only to end up broke anyway, one of that more than 40% has ever crossed your mind, drop the word scared in the comments below and hit subscribe right now, because this is only the beginning of a truth almost nobody's had the guts to tell you. Let me tell you something you've heard 1,000 times in your life. Max out your 401k. You heard it from your parents, heard it at work, heard it from friends who thought they were smart with money. Heard it so many times year after year that you stopped questioning it. It became gospel truth, became almost a financial religion. The bigger the balance, the safer you'd be. That was the equation they taught you, and you bought into it with everything you had because it made sense. Because everybody kept saying the same thing. Because nobody, absolutely nobody, ever handed you another option, another path, another question. Remember doing the math in your head, alone, right before bed? If I bump it up 10% now, I'll be set in 15 years. It sounded logical. It sounded safe. It even sounded smart. But here's the problem nobody had the guts to tell you. Your 401k was never built to answer the question you're actually asking now, at 45, 50, or 55. You're not asking, how much can I sock away this month? You're asking something a lot heavier, a lot more real. Am I going to be okay once I can't work anymore? Those are two completely different questions, and you've spent your whole life, with all your discipline, answering just one of them. Damn, that's you, isn't it? Be honest with yourself for a second. You saved up. You followed the rule book to the letter. You did exactly what you were told. And still, something inside you keeps whispering that a piece of this puzzle is missing. That missing piece isn't laziness. It's not a lack of discipline. You've had discipline to spare for decades. The real problem is you learned to play the wrong game, with all the dedication in the world, genuinely believing it was the right one. And that's exactly where I want to take you now, into that quiet blind spot. Because understanding this shift changes everything that comes next in this video. Think about it for a second. How many times did you watch your balance go up and feel a little relief, a little breathing room, thinking that number alone was the answer to every fear you had? The fear of getting sick, the fear of needing care that costs a fortune, the fear of becoming a burden on your own kids. A number on a screen never answered a single one of those questions. And that's exactly what you're about to understand right now, in the next few minutes. Now, I need to show you something that's going to sting a little, but it needs to sting, because that's the only way you're going to see what's been hiding right under your nose. There's a massive difference between building wealth and building a retirement that can actually survive real life. Sounds like the same thing. It's not. Let me walk you through a simple example. Picture two people, both 55, both with $300,000 saved up. The exact same number. One of them sleeps like a baby at night. The other tosses and turns full of anxiety, unable to explain why. Same balance, completely different reality. Why? Because that number on the screen never told the whole story. Remember when the market crashed back in 2008 or in 2020? Remember that gut punch watching your balance tank? Now picture that happening in the exact year you plan to retire. The market doesn't know and doesn't care what date you pick to stop working. If it crashes right at that moment, your $300,000 can behave in practice like it's 180 grand. You spent your whole life optimizing one single thing, accumulating. Nobody ever taught you to optimize the other half of the equation: timing, when to pull the money out, protection against the curveballs real life always throws. You're not under saving. That was never your problem. Your problem is that you're unprotected. And not enough money and unprotected are not, and never were, the same thing. Every example I just showed you is one more brick pulled out of a wall you thought was solid. And the worst part is still coming. Think about how many times you've heard someone say, "He retired rich and still lost almost everything in a few years." You've heard a story like that before, haven't you? Maybe an uncle, a neighbor, a coworker. And you chalked it up to bad luck or bad planning on his part. It wasn't bad luck. It was exactly this blind spot I'm showing you right now. The guy hit the right number, but never built any protection around it. And when life came knocking with an illness, a curveball, a market crash at the worst possible time, there was no structure left standing to absorb the hit. You could be doing the exact same thing right now without even realizing it. Saving, 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 and calling it security when really it's only half the job. Take a deep breath. Because now I'm going to tell you the truth almost nobody has the guts to say out loud. Your 401k was built to do one thing and one thing only: grow money. It was never, not for a second, built to protect you from the moments that actually break a person. Long-term care, a spouse's illness, a market crash the exact year you need the money most, living 10 years longer than you planned. None of that shows up on your statement, but all of it is waiting, quietly, in the future of someone who never prepared. Let that sink in, slowly, all the way. Your 401k is not a retirement plan. It's a tool inside a plan that, up until now, you've never actually built. A number in an account isn't income. It isn't protection. It isn't a strategy for the day your health, your timing, or your family's needs all go sideways at once. You spent years maxing out the one thing that was never designed to save you. And without realizing it, you ignored the real risks that could wipe out everything you built. Let me spell this out for you. No sugarcoating. You could retire with $300,000. or 900,000, and still be one bad decade away from ruin if there's no real plan built around that number. Oh my God, how did you never think of this before? How did nobody ever put it this plainly? You're not reading the wrong numbers. You just never learned to ask the right question. The question was never, how much do I have saved? The question was always, does this money survive my real life, curveballs and all? And this is exactly where everything shifts. The way you see wealth, the way you see income, the way you see liquidity, risk, and your own independence. Nothing from here on out is going to look the same. Picture this for a second. The day you actually stop working. No paycheck coming in. No predictable deposit hitting your account every 2 weeks. Just you. And whatever's left of a lifetime of sacrifice. If, on that day, you don't have an income plan, a plan to protect against health costs, a plan for the years the market refuses to cooperate, the prettiest balance in the world isn't going to give you an ounce of peace. It's just going to give you anxiety with more zeros attached. And that's what nobody ever taught you to fear. Not running out of money. Running out of a plan built around the money you already have. Now, I need to show you what happens when this blind spot stays invisible. Not to scare you for no reason, but because you need to see this before it happens to you. Picture yourself at 71. A health problem comes out of nowhere. Doesn't call ahead. Doesn't ask permission. It just shows up. 70% of people who turn 65 in this country are going to need some kind of long-term care at some point in their lives. That's not the exception. That's the rule. And when it happens, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the average cost runs between $51,000 and $102,000 a year. A year. This isn't a bill you pay once. It's a constant bleed, month after month, with no end date in sight. And then comes the most painful question of all. Where's that money going to come from? You're going to have to sell off investments at the worst possible moment, locking in losses you might never recover from. Or you're going to have to lean on your kids. Remember swearing to yourself you'd never become a burden on them? That you worked your whole life specifically so you'd never have to knock on their door hat in hand? Without a plan, that's exactly what happens. Quietly, slowly, and then all at once. The independence you spent 30 years building can vanish in 18 months of poorly planned healthcare costs. This isn't empty fear meant to rattle you. This is the real math nobody shows you until it's already happening to someone you know. The cost of ignoring this blind spot isn't losing a little money. It's losing the right to choose your own life in the exact years that choice matters most. And the cruelest part is, most people only discover this blind spot when it's already too late to fix it calmly. When the decision has to get made on the fly, in the middle of a crisis, with zero time to think straight. You've seen this up close before, haven't you? Someone in your family or a close friend who went through exactly this and lost, overnight, the peace of mind it took a lifetime to build. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these fears hits closest to home right now? The fear of your health failing? The fear of leaning on your kids? Or the fear of working your whole life and still never finding real peace? Drop it in the comments below and hit that like button because it helps other people your age find this same truth too. Take a breath, because now we're going to start rebuilding. Everything I've shown you so far had one goal: to help you see the blind spot. Now, I want to show you what people who actually understand money do differently. They don't think in terms of how big is my balance. They think in buckets. Money that needs to grow because it's going to stay parked for many years to come. Money that needs to be protected because it's going to be used soon and can't just disappear in a market crash. And money that needs to generate income every single month, no matter what's happening out there. They clearly separate money I'm not touching for the next 15 years from money that needs to be safe starting next year. They build protection specifically against the things a 401k was never able to touch. The shock of a health emergency, the cost of long-term care, the risk of retiring in exactly the wrong year, right when the market decides to tank. This isn't about buying some specific product or following a magic formula somebody's trying to sell you. This is about changing the question you ask your own money. You've spent years asking, how much do I have saved? The right question starting today is different. How much of this actually survives my real life? That shift sounds simple to explain, and honestly, it is simple to understand. But it's rare to actually put into practice because it means facing head-on what most people avoid, admitting that accumulating on its own was never enough. Feel that relief creeping in? Because what you just understood right now can still be fixed. It's not too late. There's still time, and that time is worth more than any number sitting in your account. Think about the people you admire, who seem to live retirement calmly, without the rush, without that constant worried look on their face. Ever notice they rarely talk about the size of their bank account? They talk about peace of mind, about routine, about relaxed trips and decisions made without pressure. That's not luck, not some twist of fate, not a coincidence. It's the result of them understanding, before you did, that a real plan is worth a lot more than a loose number, no matter how big it looks on paper. And here's the most important part of all. You still have time to make that exact same choice, starting today, right now, while you're watching this. It's time to give you the new rule, the only one that actually matters starting today. A retirement number means absolutely nothing without a plan that can survive the years a number alone can never predict. Stop measuring your safety by the size of your balance. Start measuring it by your real protection against the things that actually break people. The wrong timing, health that fails, and time that moves faster than we ever imagine. You still have time to fix this. And that's the part almost nobody tells you. The balance was never the finish line. It never was. It was always just a tool, one piece, inside something much bigger that you hadn't built yet. Remember that knot in your chest back at the start of this video when I asked you if a bigger balance really meant a safer future, an automatically safer future? Now you know the answer. And that's exactly why you're never going to look at your 401k the same way again. Every time you pull up that statement from now on, you're not going to see just a cold number on a screen anymore. You're going to see a question. Does this survive my real life? And that question, on its own, is worth more than any investment strategy anyone's ever tried to sell you. Hold on to this line. Money saved is not the same thing as a protected future. Maybe you clicked on this thinking it'd be just another run-of-the-mill retirement video. One more of the same generic stuff you've seen 100 times out there. But you didn't end up here by accident. Part of you already suspected something was missing from the story way before I opened my mouth. That suspicion was never paranoia. It was your gut trying to protect you this whole time, quietly, even without the words to explain exactly what it was picking up on. Now you've got the right words in your hands, and now you've got, for good, the right question to carry with you. If this video opened your eyes to something you'd never seen before, there's another video, right there on your screen, showing you the next silent mistake most people make after 45. One that's even more dangerous than the one we just tore apart together. If you want to keep seeing what most people never do, that's where your next truth is waiting for you. Because today, something changed inside you, and it's never going back to the way it was, no matter how hard you try to unsee it.